8 clips. 8 unsettling moments captured on phones and uploaded by ordinary people. Are these 8 real paranormal encounters? The proof we need? Watch closely. One blink and the key evidence could be gone. Over the next several minutes, we'll walk through each upload, scene by scene, looking at what the camera actually shows, suggesting reasonable non-supernatural explanations, and pointing out the details that still give us the chills. You decide. First, a quick preview. A janitor approaches a child's doll that seems to move on its own. A bedroom door slams as a dark shape stands in the doorway. A pale face peers from a farmhouse window, and a child insists someone, a scary boy, is hiding in his closet. I'll break down all 8 clips, note what's missing from the footage, and flag the cues that make each one more or less credible. What counts as stronger evidence? Multiple angles, unedited original files, consistent audio tied to a visual, corroborating witnesses. Those are the things I'll point out as we go. The first clip comes from Hannah, a janitor working after hours in a small community center. She's sweeping, filming casually as she moves through the empty building. At one point, she pans to a child-sized chair with a doll strapped in. As she edges closer, the doll's head and torso slide forward just enough to look like it's leaning toward the janitor. He takes a step back and says something under his breath, then retreats out of frame. On camera, an otherwise still room, fluorescent hum, a doll on a small chair making a short, decisive forward motion. The sound is mostly ambient. No obvious creak of a string, no audible tug. Hannah's voice off-camera is a quiet, startled, "What the?" She leaves quickly. One plausible explanation is a mechanical cause. The doll could be weighted on a pivot or attached to a very thin thread that's invisible at normal speed but catches the eye when the motion happens. Vibration is another possibility. An HVC kick or a passing truck could create a subtle tremor that lets the doll slide forward on its seat. Or the camera angle could be exaggerating a small movement. Sometimes a tiny shift looks much larger when framed tightly, why it still looks eerie. The timing is uncanny. The janitor is moving closer with a camera in hand, and the doll performs a single, human-like lean in the exact moment he approaches. The room is empty by Hannah's account, and there's no follow-up shot showing someone off camera or a visible mechanism. Missing context matters here. We don't have a wide-angle view of the whole room, no longer clipped to show if the motion repeated, and we don't have the original, uncompressed file to check for edits. That combination, apparent autonomy plus missing context, keeps ambiguity alive. Next up is Ryan's footage, and this one sits at the emotional center of our set. Ryan uploaded a string of short clips from his home. Late-night tapping on walls, footsteps in the closet, a chair found overturned in the morning, whispered noises captured on a handheld recorder, even a quick frame of something like a person on the stairs. The clip that really earns attention is a bedroom scene. A child's room with soft nightlight glow, a door suddenly smacks shut. And as the camera refocuses, you can see a dark vertical mass blocking the doorway for a second, something that casts a distinct shadow before the door bangs and the family rushes in. What the camera shows is both visual and auditory. An aggressive slam, a thudding impact, and then, in separate clips, caught audio that sounds like a low hiss or a human-like whisper. Words are not always clear, but the tone is unmistakably urgent. Ryan's narration throughout these uploads is consistent. He reports things happening over weeks in the same house, not a single staged moment. Possible natural explanations are numerous. Pets, even small ones, can cause furniture to tip or doors to close. Houses settle. Draft currents battling with poorly latched doors will create slams that seem sudden and violent. Plumbing or HVAC can make the building sing at odd frequencies. Human causes are also plausible. Friends or family playing pranks, neighbors with access to the space, or a restless teenager. For the audio, background noise or compression artifacts from social platforms can create the illusion of voices. Our brains tend to find patterns, especially human voices, in random sounds, a phenomenon called pareidolia. But why does Ryan's compilation feel heavier than most? Two things: repetition and audio. This is not a one-off clip. It's a series showing similar disturbances in the same environment. Repeated events recorded by the same person over time raise the bar for credibility because a hoaxer would need to repeatedly stage convincing illusions, possible but more difficult. Second, the audio adds emotional weight. A sudden, human-like whisper or the unmistakable terror in someone's voice has immediate impact in a way visual oddities sometimes lack. That said, we're missing original WAV files and multi-angle footage, both of which would help rule out playback compression and confirm timing between sound and image. So the clip pushes into the uncomfortable and compelling zone without crossing into definitive proof. If you like breakdowns like this and don't want to miss the next one, hit subscribe. There's more to come. The third clip belongs to a creator filming along a riverbank. They're making a light-hearted outdoor vlog when, out of the corner of frame, a small figure in a dark dress appears standing near the water's edge. The figure seems to step back, then point toward the camera for a second before vanishing into the shadow of the trees. On screen, this is all quick. Rippling water, sunlight breaking through leaves, and a sudden upright silhouette that reads like a child in dark clothing. Natural explanations include another person off-screen, maybe a friend or passerby, or an optical misread, a log upright in the water, or a tree branch layered just so can appear humanoid at a glance. Reflections on the river can also distort shapes and create the impression of a figure where there is none. We should also consider timing. This is daytime footage, so the chances of staging are higher because visibility makes manipulation easier. What keeps it unsettling is the gesture, the brief pointing toward the camera, which implies awareness of the person filming. That small action changes an ambiguous shape into something intentional. Missing context is crucial. Was anyone else on the bank? Is there a path where someone could quickly move out of frame? Without those answers, you're left with a clear silhouette, and your imagination filling in the rest. The next example comes from Eunice, an account known for quick dance and edit reels. She posts a trend where the lights flick off and back on in time with a beat. In one clip, as the lights return, there's a millisecond where the image catches what looks like a woman's face directly behind Eunice's shoulder. Eyes open, expression neutral. Then the frame continues with the party vibe, as if nothing odd happened. First, technical explanations. Short-form videos are heavily edited and rely on frame-specific cuts. A simple misaligned cut, double exposure effect, or even a pre-planned jump cut could create this blink-of-an-eye face. Camera sensors and automatic exposure can also produce flicker artifacts when light levels change quickly. Sometimes, pixels smear just long enough to form facial-like patterns. On phones, compression and auto-brightness adjustments can generate strange half-frames when the light level shifts dramatically. Yet Eunice has insisted the clip is unedited and that she was alone at the time. If that claim is accurate, some of the most common editing explanations fall away, and we're left with a face appearing during a critical light transition, exactly the moment when sensor artifacts are most likely, but also when a genuine sudden presence would be most visible. We don't have the full unprocessed file to verify the claim, and that missing context keeps this reel in the inconclusive but eerie column. Kendra uploaded a photo, a casual snapshot of her new car in the driveway. She later zooms the image and points out, in the dining room window behind the parked vehicle, what appears to be a translucent woman, with her hands on the glass. The immediate reaction is goosebumps. This looks like a figure caught at a private moment, inside Kendra's home. Possible non-paranormal causes include reflection, a common artifact in window photos. Interior lights reflecting onto the glass can overlay another room's shapes onto an exterior scene, producing ghost-like images. Double exposure isn't common on modern phones, but HDR processing can sometimes merge multiple frames in a way that leaves ghosted shapes. Even a person inside another room with their face against the glass could be mistaken for something supernatural when viewed at low resolution. Kendra's narrative adds weight because she mentions prior sightings of a similar figure, which suggests a pattern. But a single photograph lacks the dynamic information video provides. No sound, no movement, no sequence. It's also easy to overinterpret a still image. Our brains are excellent at finding faces. Without additional photos from different angles or timestamps, this remains unsettling, but hardly conclusive. Annie's clip takes us into the woods. She and her family are at a cabin and decide to film the trees at dusk. In one clip, a pale oval shape between trunks catches the light and, for a second, looks like a face. Smooth, featureless aside from dark eye-like hollows. The object is stationary, framed between saplings, and doesn't bob or sway like a hanging object might. A natural explanation here is pareidolia, the tendency to perceive faces in random patterns. Lichen, fungus, knotholes, and pale bark can combine to form a face-like image at a certain distance or in certain lighting. A dropped sheet or plastic bag can also sit against branches and look like a face when lit. Wind movement, or lack of it, depends on conditions. A still night could keep a suspended object eerily motionless. What makes this clip stand out is the composition. The pale shape is centered perfectly between the trees in a way that reads like a staged tableau. That either suggests a person deliberately posing or a coincidental framing that plays tricks on the eye. Missing context again matters. Was the family intentionally looking at that spot? Did someone point the camera there because they already saw something? Without wider framing or follow-up shots, the moment remains a photographic curiosity that leans spooky. Now to a group upload from Corpus, Texas, an abandoned park exploration that goes wrong. A group of friends livestream as they walk through a fenced, disused playground at night. On a swing set, barely lit by moonlight and the group's headlamps, a girl appears to be sitting and swinging slowly. When one of the group reaches the gate, they feel a touch from the inside of the fence. Simultaneously, listeners on the stream pick up a low, guttural growl on the audio feed. The group panics and flees. Potentially, this is a classic prank. Someone hiding inside the fenced area to spook explorers. An urban explorer with a flashlight can create convincing illusions at night. The growl could be a recorded sound played through a phone, an animal like an opossum or raccoon, or an audio artifact amplified by low-quality streaming mics. Nighttime video on consumer cameras also distorts shapes and renders motion in blocky ways that imply movement where none exists. However, live streaming adds complexity. The presence of multiple witnesses in the stream increases credibility if their reactions are spontaneous and unscripted. The tactile evidence, feeling a touch through the fence, adds physicality that's harder to fake at scale unless someone coordinated the prank. But we lack full verification. Were there other camera angles? Did any of the viewers manage to return with better footage? Without follow-up or police reports, this clip remains an intense but ultimately ambiguous encounter. The final upload we'll examine is arguably the most emotionally charged. Paul recorded his son Charlie describing a scary boy in the closet. The footage is simple. A living room couch, Paul asking a calm, worried question, and Charlie, a small child with solemn eyes, describing the boy's height and what he does, stand in the corner, whisper, or watch him at night. Paul checks the closet. It is empty. Charlie insists, with the certainty only children can summon. There are several non-paranormal explanations to consider. Children have vivid imaginations that pull characters from stories, nightmares, or TV. Sleep phenomena like parasomnia or hypnagogic hallucinations can leave a child convinced something was present. Suggestion is powerful. Offhand comments from adults, overheard conversations, or a recently watched show could create a narrative a child repeats with frightening clarity. It's also important to remember how seriously parents should take such reports because they're about a child's safety and emotional well-being, not the validation of a ghost hypothesis. Why this clip hits so hard is the human element. The fear in Paul's voice, the earnest conviction of Charlie, the family dynamic, all of it presses on protective instincts. Even if the cause is natural, the clip is proof of something real, genuine fear. That emotional reality deserves careful, compassionate response, not ridicule. From a strictly evidentiary standpoint, however, single-person testimony, even a child's, is weak proof of an external, paranormal agent without corroborating sensory data like clear audio-visual capture or physical markers. So what can we take from all 8 clips when we stack them together? Patterns emerge. Many uploads come from single accounts claiming repeated incidents in the same place. Several include audio that feels like human voices or growls, which increases emotional impact. A handful show figures in windows, between trees or on swings, silhouettes that read clearly as human shapes. On the other hand, missing context is abundant. We rarely have wide-angle verification, original uncompressed files, timestamps, or multi-angle corroboration. The majority of clips could be explained by common technical artifacts, compression, exposure flicker, reflections, or by human actions, whether pranksters or friends off camera. When you're deciding whether a clip is convincing, look for certain credibility markers. Multi-angle capture that shows the same phenomenon from different perspectives reduces the chance of optical illusion. Unedited original files allow an examiner to check frame integrity and rule out post-production effects. Synchronous audio and video, that is, a sound that clearly matches a visible action, adds weight. Corroborating witnesses, especially independent ones, change the balance from possible hoax to anomalous event worth further investigation. Physical evidence, marks, displaced objects, or recorded temperature changes would further strengthen a claim, though none of the 8 clips provides that level of proof. What would convince me, personally? A clip that checks several boxes, raw footage from multiple devices, consistent audio that matches an observable physical action, multiple independent witnesses whose reactions are unambiguous and unrehearsed, and, ideally, follow-up verification like police or expert reports. None of the 8 meets that standard. Some nudge closer than others. Ryan's repeated recordings and the live-streamed group experience in Corpus carry more weight than a single still photo, but a gap remains between "this feels real" and "this proves the paranormal." I'll say plainly, I'm intrigued and unsettled by several of these uploads. They raise legitimate questions and deserve careful investigation. But intrigue is not proof. Each clip contains ordinary explanations that cannot be ruled out with the available footage, and the missing context on most of them is a recurring reason we should hesitate before calling them evidence of the supernatural. Now it's your turn. Which of these 8 clips convinced you the most? Drop a comment and vote. Use the clip numbers or the uploader names so others can follow your reasoning. If you have footage you want us to analyze, send it through the submission form linked in the description. We only accept original files and prefer unedited uploads to preserve context. Be mindful. Do not trespass or put yourself in danger to get footage. Safety first. To wrap up, are these 8 real paranormal encounters the proof we need? The honest answer is no, not yet. They are, however, pieces of footage that demand attention, skepticism, and better documentation. Some are more compelling than others, and several would be much stronger with wide-angle shots, original files, and corroborating witnesses. I'm leaning toward curious caution. Each clip raises questions, but none settles the matter on its own. If you found this breakdown useful, like the video and subscribe so you won't miss future deep dives into strange uploads. Vote in the comments. Which clip convinced you most and why? Send your raw uploads via the submission link below if you want us to take a closer look. Above all, keep your eyes open, your skepticism sharp, and your respect for people's experiences intact, whether the explanation is ordinary or something we don't yet understand.